Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to my Ielts speaking and writing lessons. It's Monday morning here in the UK, and our local time is 6:30. So this lesson runs on every Monday morning as well as Tuesday morning at this time, which is 6:30 is our local time. Okay, and once again, it's the Christmas holiday here in the UK. I'm at home, guys. It's really my pleasure to conduct another lesson. So this lesson mainly covers IELTS speaking and writing strategies, and these two modules, as well as tips for reading and tips for listening skill. It is an important matter being a candidate of IELTS exam. We must know all the rubrics, all the strategies, tips, and the different kind of information which might be helpful for you to get good score and better score. Okay, um, so today we're going to give some tips about the writing. Before that, let us listen to BBC 6 Minutes English, which is really amazing for us to develop our speaking uh, as well as listening.
Six-Minute English from bbclearningenglish.com.
Hello, this is 6-Minute English from BBC Learning English. I'm Georgina.
And I'm Rob.
Do you have a good memory, Rob? Can you remember people's names or where you left your car keys?
Well, I can remember people's faces, but I have a terrible memory for names. And sometimes I'll be eagerly reading a book, but then a week later, I can't remember a single thing about it.
Well, you're not alone. Many people find it hard to remember things they've read or learned, while other sometimes useless information sticks with them.
In this program, we'll be finding out why we forget the things we've learned, whether that's someone's name, a word in English, or where you put your wallet.
But first, let me ask you my quiz question, Rob, before I forget. You and I might struggle to remember someone's phone number, but Chinese student Chao Lu has a record-breaking memory. In 2005, she recited the numbers of pi, the mathematical equation describing the proportions of a circle, but how many digits did she manage to remember? Was it A, 48,000, B, 68,000, or C, 88,000?
Wow, it sounds like Chaolu has an incredible memory. I'll say she remembered B, 68,000 digits of pi.
Okay, Rob, let's remember to find out the answer at the end of the program.
Okay, will do. Now, someone like Chaolu might have a photographic memory, the ability to remember things in exact detail, like looking at a photograph. But for the rest of us, things are more complicated.
Dr. Jared Horvath is an educational neuroscientist at the University of Melbourne. According to him, there are two rules which explain how we remember information.
Listen to Dr. Horvath talking to BBC World Service programme The Y Factor and see if you can hear the two rules he mentions.
Rule number one is repetition is key. The odds of remembering something after a one-off are incredibly slim, unless you can immediately link it to something you already understand. So my middle name is Cooney. Meet someone named Cooney, I'll never forget that because I have an immediate link. But if I meet someone named Joe, So a one-off is, we all pretty much suck at it. unless we focus. So rule 2 then becomes we remember what we focus on.
The first rule for remembering is repetition. The odds, meaning the probability of remembering something, are low if you learn it as a one-off, something that only happens once.
Dr. Horvath's second rule is about focus. We remember what we focus on. This involves making links between new information and something you already understand.
Thank you, June.
These are the most effective
See ya.
methods of remembering, and most of us suck at or are bad at other ways of remembering things.
Now, of course, one group of people who need good memory is students. Do you remember cramming for school exams, Georgina?
Ah, yes, staying up late trying to revise everything the night before an exam. I remember doing that, but it didn't work.
Yes, Dr. Horvath's research found that students who cram for tests forget around 90% of what they studied within 72 hours.
He thinks education shouldn't be about trying to cram students' heads with facts and figures. It should involve something more meaningful, as he explains to BBC World Service's The Why Factor.
And the thing that I like about education is it's really moving from a model of just memorize as much as you can into what we now call deep learning, which is instead of giving you 100 things and I just need to know that you can remember them, I'm going to give you 10 things, and instead of just being able to remember them, I want you to be able to describe it deeply and come up with new ways of looking at it.
Traditionally, education involves memorizing, learning information exactly as it is so you can repeat it later.
But being able to repeat something like a parrot doesn't always mean you understand it. Dr. Horvath advocates a technique called deep learning, a complete way of learning something that means you fully understand and will not forget.
So remember, repetition, focus, and deep learning are the memory muscles we need. Maybe that's how Chinese student Chao Lu developed her record-breaking memory. You do remember your quiz question, don't you, Georgina?
Yes, thank you, Rob. My memory isn't that bad. I asked you how many digits of the mathematical equation pi she could remember.
And I said B, 68,000 digits.
Which was the correct answer. Actually, the number was so long it took her over 24 hours without a break to recite it all.
Oh wow, her brain must have been aching after all that. Okay, let's recap the vocabulary from this program, starting with a photographic memory, which is the ability to remember things in exact detail, like looking at a photograph.
The odds of something happening mean the chances that it will happen.
A one-off is something that only happens once.
To suck at something is an informal way to say be bad at doing something. It's more common in American English.
If you memorize something, you learn it exactly so that you can repeat it later.
And finally, deep learning describes a complete way of learning something so that you fully understand it and will not forget it.
Okay, well that's all from us, but don't forget to join us again soon for more trending topics and top tips to help you remember useful and everyday English vocabulary. Bye for now.
Bye.
6-Minute English.
From the BBC.
Okay, that was 6 minutes English from the BBC, through which we have the opportunity to listen to the RP accent as well as to understand it clearly. And once again, dear viewers, it's the IELTS speaking and writing classes. If you're interested to develop your IELTS reading, writing, speaking, listening, all the 4 modules, this would be the appropriate class as well. You have the opportunity to sign up. Go to the sign up button and just click there, and you'll be taken to the payment page, as there is a promotion going on at the moment for the Halloers. If you have $1 in your account, you will have opportunity to sign up a lesson with a teacher for 2 weeks freely. Let's go to today's main lesson, writing skill. Before that, I was going to describe IELTS marking criteria. Ankit, hello, welcome from YouTube channel. Okay. All right. So the marking criteria are number one, um, task achievement and task response. Sometimes it's called task achievement, and in task one, task response. Okay, writing, reading, speaking. All right, this is for reading skill and writing skill. Okay. Or writing part. So in writing part, there are two tasks. If you remember task one, 20 minutes. Hang on a moment, I need to log on from the mobile as well. So uh, writing part skill, there are two tasks. Task one, if you remember task one, and task two. Okay. Task one, 20 minutes, and we have to write 150 words. Task two, 40 minutes. We have to write 250 words. So on an average for the task one, we have to write 8 words in a minute. This is we have to write 7 words in a minute. Okay, and as you might be aware, there are academic tests and general test. So let's say 80 is for academic test, GT is for the general test. Okay. Um, so academic test, if you remember that in IELTS exam, so there are two tests, academic test and general test. And both of the tests have two parts, part one or task one and task two. Task one is 40 minutes, task one is 20 minutes, 150 words, 8 words in a minute. You have to write minimum. And task two, 40 minutes, 250 words. We have to write minimum 7 words in a minute. We're going to elaborate the different tasks. Let us explain how the markings or distribute. Number one, task achievement. Okay, in task one, they call it task achievement. Let us show in a two different way. So task one. Marking criteria. %25. So for the task one, the marking criteria is task achievement is for 25 minutes. Then coherence and cohesion, 25 minutes, 25%. Lexical resources, 25%. And grammatical range and accuracy, 25%. And for the task two, marking criteria, task response, 25%. Coherence and cohesion, 25%. Lexical resources, 35%. Grammatical range and accuracy, 25%. Okay, and what does this task response means? Okay, so we're going to describe more a little bit. And before that, and we've got marking in IELTS reading. And in reading, if you remember that we have got 40 questions and 60 minutes, and we have to answer these 40 questions within the 60 minutes. And the band scores ranging from band 1 to band 9 are awarded accordingly. If you score 40 out of 40, band score 8765. Okay, let's focus on writing only today. Okay, so the IELTS writing tips. If you remember, dear viewers, we covered speaking tips last week, and this week we're going to cover today and tomorrow with the writing tips. And these are some of the rubrics that a candidate must know before they try to attempt, the IELTS exam. And it is important to be aware all the bits and bytes information. So task 1 again. If you remember, we explained earlier task 1 and task 2. Let's break it again. Task 1. Task 2. So once again, task 1, task achievement 25%, coherence and cohesion 25%, lexical sources 25%, grammatical range and accuracy 25%. Task 2, task response 25%, coherence and cohesions 25%, lexical source 25%, grammatical range and accuracy 25%. Let's move on to task response or achievement. So in the task 1, we call it task achievement, and task 2 we call it task response. And what exactly it means for the writing section. So we are describing both general test and academic data. So task achievement is the act of doing a certain task by an individual group of individuals in order to finish in a way that ensures success. It determines a situation when objectives of the task are accomplished according to the preset priorities, time limits, process requirements, responsibilities, and authorities. So task response, and briefly speaking, how much your writing answers each part of the essay question. So we're going to give you an example to find out. Test 2, like describe Every describe village life is better than town life. Now, task response will include, if you remember, for every writing, there are three parts: introduction, body, and conclusion. Okay, test two. Okay, we'll focus on task one today. So, it's coming general test. Where is all? General test. Okay. Um, all right. I'm trying to get more information. Okay, so academic writing task 1, strategy. Understand how the test is marked that we have described already. Let me make it a little bit bigger so that um, we have described already how the uh, test is marked. So paraphrase the questions, which is the task response. So it's best to paraphrase the question in the first paragraph. You can do it by using synonyms. So is in a simple way, paraphrase meaning you have to describe the topic in your own words and maximum 2 to 3 sentences. Synonyms is important in this case. 2 to 3. Okay, so the first one is understand how the test is marked that we have explained. Marking criteria. If there's an exact word in it. Number 2, paraphrase the questions. So what is called paraphrase? So in order to understand paraphrase and in order to paraphrase the topic or the question, we need to know the synonyms, which is why vocabulary is needed and important. And in order to know the vocab and the synonyms, needs preparation. especially if you like to get good scores above 6 or 7 or 6 above any marks up to 9. It is important for you to know the paraphrasing techniques. And in this case, you need to know different kinds of synonyms. Okay, so we have to paraphrase in 2 to 3 sentences. So we're going to give the real life examples in the tomorrow's class. So we're just describing the basic uh, information how you can develop your writing skill. Number three is write the overview. Okay, so in order to write the overview, you need to pick 3 or 4 of the main features and write about them generally with the reference any data. So what do you understand by the overview? And 3 or 4. So when the topic is given in task 1 and or task 2, we need to find out what's the main overview of the topic, and it can be done only through meticulous reading or observation. If it is an academic task 1, you might be aware that in task 1 it is the graph or a chart or any other diagrams given, and you have to just find out what are the main elements of the writing or topic, and from there we need to pick 3 or 4 main features. Okay, and remember the timing is an important matter for both of the tasks, because in writing section the limitation is timing. We all are expert in writing more or less, but in task 2, 20 minutes, we have to write at least 150 words. And task 2 is 40 minutes. If you remember, we have to write at least 250 words. So we have to be careful. That's why when you practice at home, keep a timer beside your writing and find out whether we fulfill the timing and all the criteria of writing or not. Okay, which is why it is important for being a candidate of IELTS exam to have a good practice. Okay, and then when we're writing the 3 to 4 features, we don't need to mention any data in that case. Number 4 is support the main features. So in a new paragraphs, if you remember, when you're picking 3 or 4 features, we just write in a separate individual paragraph. So in a new paragraph, support the key features with data and the information given to you. It means if it's a task 1 from the chart or the diagram, there would be the key feature or key information. You have to just elaborate it. So it's a kind of your thought process, and also kind of develop your idea by writing. The number 5 is check your work. So check your report for spelling and grammar mistakes. Make sure that the data you mention is also accurate. So remember that when you're writing, there are 2 types of spelling techniques. One is the British spelling techniques. Another one is the American spelling techniques. With the few exceptions, most of these techniques are same, but we have got to be careful. See, especially spelling techniques. US spelling, US spelling. So the difference comes like words ending OUR, it's like favor, color, rumor, etc. Spelling like ending ZE, SE, like utilize, realize, etc. And spelling like center, program, okay. Basically, there are 9 different spellings between the British English and the American English. We're going to show you the examples in a moment. So, okay. So below we have listed. Okay, let me highlight it and make it bigger so that you were aware of. Okay. First spelling differences. AE versus, let us write it. Many words that come from ancient Greek have an A in British English but only E in US English. Most of these words are scientific words, medical or technical words. Okay. Oh, how do I fix it? So these are the some basic differences. Aesthetic, AE, then aesthetic. So the first column is the British English. Second column is American. So aesthetic, anemia, anesthesia, gynecologist, pediatrician, and double consonants. Some British spelling requires a doubled consonant. For example, in the past participle, certain verbs where American spelling omits it. In other places, it is US English that has the double consonant. In certain verbal infinitives or to preserve the root. So some of the spellings are apple. So this is British English. So carburetor, counselor, disheveled, distill, fulfill, installment, instill, scaleful, woolen. Many nouns, the difference between E and CE and E and SC. That in E and C in British English and in E and S in the US English. UK English only uses E and SC for the corresponding verb. For example, license. Someone to do the something after which they hold a license to do it. Okay. So defense with C, defense with SE, license, license SE, offense, pretense. Final E. On both sides of Atlantic, that is one part is US, another part the UK. English is famous for the silent E at the end of many words, where both American and British English have this in words such as name, make, or have. It comes from Old English inflection, but many finally spelling come from French loan words, where often the consonant before the final is doubled. American English tends to omit this in accordance with the Noah's Webster spelling reforms. So find out. Okay, that's the example. Annex. So the first part is always British English. Remember that. Okay, lies finally. So it's annex. It's double L and EXE. Annex. A double N E X. Glycerine with E and glycerine without A. Gram. Gram. Similarly, grill. Noun. Program without A and double M. So the words X and X follow this pattern, though the word comes from Germanic roots. So and then judgment. Judgment can be also taken as an example. Like OE versus A. Like A, ever British English preserves the OE diagraph. In words derived from the classical language, while US English has simplified A. Okay, let's. So diarrhea. DIRROHOEA and diarrhea. Similarly, gonorrhea, maneuver. OUR, OR, that's the most common. This is one of the more famous spelling difference between British and American English. Comes from French influence. Nearly all of these words originally came from Latin and had the plain OR ending. So arbor, ardor. Similarly, behavior, candor, color, favor, flavor, harbor, honor, humor, labor, neighbor, order, parlor, rancor, regret, rumor, savior, sabor, splendor, tumor, valor, vigor. There is another. Okay, next one is re, like our. R spelling originally comes from French. In the United States, it is replaced with er. Okay, so it is replaced with the er to better reflect American pronunciation. Okay, let's find out. So it's caliber, center, fiber, liter. Oh, 1 minute. Thank you very much, guys. I'll see you later. Take care.